Alright, hey everyone. Gonna try a new experiment today, in that, hey, I'm uploading to my my second channel here. We're actually gonna be going ahead and playing, basically one of my favorite games that's ever been made. This is Myst. They've just released a new version of Myst for desktop computers and VR. This used to be on just the Oculus Quest, but I believe they've just rolled it out to Steam. So we're going to take a look. I'm having some difficulties with recording it. Recording VR games is always challenging, but we should be good. I'm going to check on things as we go. Following my policy of no editing, we're not going to be editing anything. If you expected, a general Let's Player, then this isn't what you're going to get. What you are going to get is just me talking at the metaphorical camera, because it's going to be locked to my head for this one, and just playing the game. I have memory of all the puzzles here, but they have this new version where the puzzles are kind of randomized. I'm going to have to click new game, just because, there we go, randomized puzzles. I wanted to start things off a scratch, and get everything loaded in. That's chucked us around here, and there's that fissure from the start of the game. Oh, there's also spoilers for the game here.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed, but I must admit that such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
Alright, just gonna check out. Capturing that is good. Yeah, we're pretty good. We're just going to keep going, see what's up. Like I said, this is kind of an experiment, because I don't really know what's going on. Either way, I'm going to enjoy the game, and we're going to just go ahead and see what happens. I can't really re-record parts of this, so we'll just keep going. For those who are unaware, that up there, like I said, spoilers, is a passage that actually leads to a different part of the universe, technically Game 2. What a lot of players don't realize, as like I said, warning spoilers. I like explaining this game because a lot of people get kind of confused. Up there is actually Game 2's world, and we're down here in sort of the Game 1 opening. There isn't really a description or a reason as to why we're here or how we got here, but what we do know is that that was Atris. We'll be meeting Atris shortly, who fell through the Game 2's world due to events that happened in Game 2, which is called Riven, and they used this book as they were falling, and they didn't really know what would happen to this book, and it turns out it fell down and landed in front of me. When this game was originally produced and launched, a couple of PC magazines, and I believe some sort of newspaper or book maybe, back then, it was a long time ago, they quoted the book, as in this Myst book, as being found in a library by a stranger or something. That's since been sort of retconned, which is the term for when they just sort of change the lore up on us. A lot of that happens in the Myst series to this sequence where it fell down into this, which is called the Starry Expanse. We're not quite sure what this is. It's not really explained. There are hints in the later games, in Myst 5, and also Uru, that the Starry Expanse here leads to New Mexico on Earth, but right now in this game it leads to what looks like a sort of blue desert beach in the middle of the Starry Expanse. I'm just very curious about what happens if I walk, like is that a skybox, or is that like an actual sphere? It looks like it's an actual sphere. They're also locking me to a particular range around the book. That makes sense. I'm going to have to explain what books are as well in this game. It is explained a lot later. You're not really meant to know it right now, but I do need to explain it, because otherwise it won't make sense. This is a book, and in this universe, certain books have a property which is a panel on the front of them. The panel displays age, which is what it's called, which is basically another sort of world that you can go and visit by touching the panel on the front of the book. I found this concept as a kid incredible. I mean, I read a lot as a kid, and so I was reading a lot of, adventure books, etc. But none of them really were like this, where it's like, hey, someone writes a book and then you can go visit that creation. Thing to note here, something that comes up a lot more in book 2, but also a lot in the sort of later stages of not book 2, game 2 of game 1 Myst here where we are, is that we aren't going inside the book. I see lots of people saying inside the book. You can think of this as just a very complicated portal or a very complicated Stargate. It's more akin, I guess, to if you've seen the TV show Sliders, where they change dimensions. It's more akin to that, I guess. It's not really implied that it's different planets. It's more implied that it's different sort of levels of existence. I could actually probably write a blog article about the quantum nature of the Myst series, but I'm not going to. If you read into quantum physics, you might understand that. Otherwise, just ignore me. I'm a madman when it comes to that. Let's play the game. I've been wittering off and on. So we open this book here, and we see a video on the book, and loud music. I'm going to have to drop that down a little bit more. Finding interesting that there's like depth in this. That's obviously because I'm, wearing a headset. Now I could interrupt this at any point, and I could go ahead and touch this book and go visit the spot, but I just wanted to see what this video showed. Looks like it shows that. All right, we're going to do it. So that noise there has now landed us on Myst Island. Like I said, we're not inside the book. This is technically sort of a different dimension or planet, whichever way is fine. But go ahead and lower down that volume just a little bit. It's loud even for me, so I don't know what it's like for you. I kind of balance stuff. It seems to me, and I don't know if anyone can explain this, but all video games these days are far, far, far too loud for my hearing. I don't know if I've got weird hearing or just overpowered headphones or something like that, but there we go. So back in the original game, you kind of just landed here, and everything wasn't, as you see here, which is full 3D. We've got rocks that we can go up to and sort of play around with. It was all, I understand how to use the menu, thank you. The game's very good at contextual hints now, but like I was saying, back in the days, there weren't really no contextual hints. That was partly because it was a brand new game of the era, and so people didn't really know what was required to explain to players what they should do, what they should push, what they should do, how to play the game, essentially. There was a lot less direction there, and so instead people were just sort of left to explore. They did make a couple of changes. One of the changes they made, you'll see coming up in just a moment, and I'll talk about that when we get there. There's also right to the left here, there's the first example of a change that was made from the original game. So in the original game, this door existed. It looked a lot sort of flatter than this, and so many people missed that it was an actually door. I like the play on words I did there. And so it was unclear, hey, this is a door. And even though it was a door, to open it, you just clicked this sort of metal panel and it would slide open. Now that doesn't make sense for VR, so they've added this button here, and this button is quite obvious with the red thing. It's kind of one of the first things you'll see if you spin around when you land here, and it's a great example of what they did in the particular VR version to make it more apparent that there's something to interact with. They're like, hey, there is a button here. We don't actually need to go down there yet. Like I said, I do know how all of this game works, so I'm just going to go ahead and explore. This is one of the first examples of like an interactable object, particularly of the type lever that exists within the Myst series. There are a ton of levers, there are a ton of buttons, and something that's always bothered me a little bit, a sort of pet peeve, is when people play with these and they don't remember what they do or what they've done to them. So example here, this lever is down, and I will know that it's down if I come back to it, because apparently I have a freakish memory that I can remember the state of like all the things I've interacted with. I'm going to go ahead and flip this up. I know why I'm flipping it up. I will explain in just a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and flip that up. Very important reason that be flipped up. Also to note, there's a boat here. More on that boat probably in a little bit. I'll go ahead and take a look. I'm going to go and head up these stairs here. Myst is also like one of the first sort of adventure games of its kind where you could kind of just free roam, right? They didn't have much guidance. Like I could go up there, or I could go this way, and this way is the way I'm actually going to go. Again, for a reason that I can go ahead and explain when I get up there. Press the A button to reset your height. Oh, I like this. That's good. That's really good. So as you were walking up here, there was a letter placed on the floor. Some users missed it. So couldn't let player words, so they kind of edited it around a bit. But this letter actually didn't exist in the first version of the game. They just sort of left you with no guidance. You had to kind of figure it out. But they added this letter to kind of give people a little bit of hint. So I'm going to go ahead and read this letter. So this letter, and I actually don't like the way that they've done this. In the later games of Myst for computer, they took the sort of text here and they provided a readable text font for it, none that wasn't sort of cursive like you see here. I can just about read it. I'm familiar with like various cursive stuff. They can get bad, but this one's on the borderline. So it says, Catherine, I have left for you a message of utmost importance in the forechamber beside the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on the island into the imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Atris. So this is the important letter, and I like it that they placed up on a rock here, so VR players don't have to sort of stoop down, bend down to pick it up. Picking stuff off the floor is still not a good experience in VR for many games. It's just sort of like, no one really wants to do that. If you imagine, picking up stuff in your apartment and putting it away. No one wants to do that. That's a really good example of sort of adaptations for VR. So with that, what we're going to do is what a normal player might do is they might say, hey, where's that forechamber, right? And then they may go back to the dock here. So that's what a lot of players might actually do. And again, that hints them there. Some players might have also figured out that, okay, that's a marker switch because there's actually more on there, but there's another example of sort of exposition that the game does. Now, I don't like this button placement here compared to the button placement outside, where it's like on this pillar here. That makes sense, like that it would put there, you can see wires going through the concrete here. But here it just feels like, hey, like, could they not have just put it on the wall here maybe? Here it just feels a bit like a sort of mailbox or letterbox. Additionally, the construction of it makes it look like, hey, there's something more complicated here. I like the lights, bit sort of washed out coming down here though. I don't remember it being that long. I think it was like 2 clicks to get down here. There wasn't a sense of depth as well. There wasn't a sense of like you're going under the ground. This room, they've done a good job at. Yeah, no, that's really good. This room here is designed to resemble... Let me lower down the music volume again, one more time. Audio, music volume. I have to do that. Music's really good, but I need to be able to talk over it. So this room here is a lot more detailed than I remember it in the original version. Of course, there's depth here. There's also a lot more texture detail. It highly reminds me of some of the other architecture you'll see in later parts of this game, as well as the other games. So that's really good. They've also left this on. I believe this was just a water pool. When you came in here in the original game. Whereas here they've got an actual mesh moving up and down, standard displacement mesh here. There's a big button. There's also a speaker there, which is very important for just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and push this and see what happens. There you go, it's turned off. I also remember looking at this and being like, hey, what's going on there? But now I can actually see it in some detail. It's just sort of projectors, maybe a few fans. Good. So here's the example of exposition I was talking about. There's marker switch diagram 47, topographic extrusion test 40, and then water turbulent pool 67. So I believe water turbulent pool might have been the one we were just seeing, but we can go ahead and do that. 67. So yeah, we were on 67, which meant that when we push this, we get the turbulent pool. So if we go down to 47, we should see marker switch diagram. I went the wrong way there. Oop, there we go. So this here is an exposition which is like, that is a marker switch. So they've said, hey, give me the number of marker switches on the island. And then here they're saying, this is what a marker switch looks like. Again, many players miss that and they aren't quite clear what the marker switches are. They're also displaying the on position, which is up, strangely, for marker switches. But there we go. Oh, I like the projectors are on. They're also on, kind of sort of emulating the colors that would need to be displayed up there. Bit too much blue, but we'll see what happens with the topographical extrusion test, which is down to 40. Interesting. In the original game here, this had textures, and it was effectively just what looked like an early version of the Myst Island. Here, I don't recognize this as the Myst Island. I mean, it could be the Myst Island if the Myst Island had no one on it and no furniture or architecture on it, but the Myst Island has a lot of that. Could be an early version of the Myst Island. That's kind of cool. Go ahead, turn that off. So this is what we now need the number of marker switches on the island for. So what the number of marker switches on the island hint, or puzzle if you like, is implying that you should do is take a look around the island. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look around the island. I must say that I'm probably going to cut this up into pieces. Like I said, no editing, but I'm going to cut it up into pieces. Honestly, this is just a big experiment. I don't care. I could talk about this game for hours. If anyone watches this, fantastic. Who knows? So I'm going to go up here. This is a giant gear. I remember this confusing me as a child. I played this game like when I was like quite young. Just trying to think of sort of like an age frame when I was playing it. I really don't know. I want to say below 16, but I don't really know. I had a lot less patience back then. There were a couple of times where I unfortunately cheated at these games, and I regret that because I can never unlearn these puzzles. I'm going to always have to sort of remember that the first solution I had to these puzzles was to cheat back when I was a kid. That's fun. I'm a great lover of puzzle games as it stands now. I play a ton of them, so there are new puzzle games, and anyone that looks like Myst, I'm like, great, and I never cheat anymore. I think I was up till like 6 a.m. once trying to solve a puzzle because it's just so rewarding. So we've turned on the switch for the gears. So now we know that there are 2 that we send. 1, 2. So we've got 2. Again, I kind of just remember that. If I wasn't in VR, I might use what's known as a journal. This game does sort of prompt and encourage you to sort of think about journaling your experience. A lot of players don't. Some Myst fanatics that are maybe doing a second playthrough, they'll actually have a physical journal with a journal camera. I don't mind that. It's fantastic when they do that, but it is a lot of work for the broadcaster. Some users will just take photos either with their phone or with their computer, like screenshots. That's totally fine too. Just sort of noting down what they've seen, what things look like. It's great, especially when your memory of this stuff isn't as good as it is. Mine is quite a good memory when it comes to this stuff, but even I forget stuff. So this is 3, number 3. Again, I'm going to turn it on. Yeah, apparently I'm not going to turn it on. There we go. Now, I've never been back here because you couldn't go back here. Just gives you like a unique sort of view. I'm also understanding the geography of the island a little bit. There's a depth data that I wasn't really getting. Oh, they redid this. Awesome. This over here is a grave, and it's written in a language called Dunny. There'll be more about that one in Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5. Basically every single part of this. Tiny bit about it at the end of this one. This says in Dunny script, it says Tiana. Now, Dunny is spelled D''Ni, and lots of people are like, is it Denis? Dunny, or as a character in the game, the 5th game says it Duckney. It's definitely not Duckney. Dunny is the official pronunciation, but I would accept Denis as well. Denis is what I would probably say if no one else had told me otherwise, but there are a couple of locations where it said that, and then there's a letter from, or an email from the person who's kind of sort of taken over the official lore of the game, who says, hey, it's Dunny, so that's totally fine. So 1, 2, 3. And we can walk over, should be another one by there. There is. This rocket ship, we'll be exploring this rocket ship later, I do promise. I hate it, though, and that's because of the puzzle inside it. It involves musical tones. I'm sort of tone deaf when it comes to distinguishing between notes. Also colors, slightly colorblind, so more about that when we get there as well. Again, I'm loving the depth because it sort of shows how big this rocket ship is. So I believe that's 5. I'm losing track now. That's just because I'm wittering 1, 2, 3. Might actually be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's actually the 4th. I know how many there are, of course. I'm just playing around. Other people are probably like angry that I haven't been to the library yet. We'll go there soon. 4. Again, it's good seeing the 4. Good seeing the depth here. Also the places you wouldn't usually be able to explore. 4, there's 5. Six over here. 7 out there, but we can't get out there yet. We will be going out there later. I really like the redesign of this UI. More on that later. 7. No, I know there's more than 7, but I must be miscounting, because I know that there's actually 8, but there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 over there, 5 down there, 6 by the cavern, 7, 8. Okay, it's this one. Yeah, there we go. That's why it's 8. Because I forgot this one. So now we know that there are 8 marker switches. And again, we could go ahead and you know, play around with more of the creations of the island, but we know there's 8, so we can go back and actually answer that riddle from that note. If we forgot what the note is, we're going to go ahead and take a look. So it says here, enter the number of marker switches on the island, so 8. We go back down here. I play a lot of sort of action-y VR games. You can check my main channel for more information about that. I would love to just jump over here, but hey, there's no jumping in the Myst series. Some people complain about that. They're like, you know, with the stranger, which is the name of the character you're playing, it could be you, it doesn't really matter. They make no reference to the gender or identity of the character throughout the game. They do a little bit in, I guess, Myst 5, because complicated plot mechanics, but it doesn't really matter in game 1, 2, 3, or 4. So yeah, it can be whoever you want, but they you know, like some people are like, hey, why can't they jump? Why can't they run? That's what I was saying. I just like to imagine that they're just polite, you know. If I was in someone else's house, I wouldn't jump over their couch to get to the bathroom or anything. So here we need to enter 8, so we'll drop this down to 0. And then raise this up to 8. This is where the speaker comes in.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Akanar. But I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Cirrus as well. I should have known not to have left my library unchecked for so long. I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in the places of protection. You shouldn't have to use the books until I return, but if you've forgotten the access key, remember the tower rotation, and don't worry, Catherine. Everything will be fine. I'll see you shortly. Oh, and erase this message after you've viewed it, just to be safe.
That was very interesting. So before, in the original games, and I believe in an early version of this that I saw, maybe the Oculus Quest version, I'm not quite sure, they just put the old video in this pool, and it looked terribly stretched, but there was some authenticity to it. That was a 3D model recreation, and I believe, not entirely sure, but I believe there's also a rereading of that script. Reason behind that is I noticed a couple of sort of acting mistakes in the middle of that. Nothing major, but just stuff I noticed compared to the original wording. Like I said, I have a freakish memory for stuff like this. There was also a 3D recreation of Atris's head. I didn't like the teeth. The teeth looked too, like, cartoony. You know, when you can't see, like, individual teeth. It's a weird thing, but, like, you know, I noticed it. Kind of strange. Yeah. So that was Atris. Atris is, I guess you could call the owner of the island. Again, there's no real owner of a Myst Age, but if they have the book and they're the only one on it, then they've got it. But do you remember that an entire age is basically not just the island we're on, but the entire planet and the entire universe that we're in? So I'm pretty sure there's some other people out there somewhere. It always weirded me out. Like, I would always explore an age like this and then grab a boat. I mean, there's a boat by the dock. It's sunk, but we'll raise it later. And Sail the ocean, see what you can find. I mean, circumnavigating the globe of an unknown planet would be kind of cool, right? There's probably some more islands there. Unless they manage to, and this is the thing about books in the Myst series, if you accurately describe an age as detailed as possible, they could create an island, a planet that has only one island. It would be strange. They might have to go about it a different way and say that the island does have land, but that the water level is too high. There's, not really much details about how books are written. There is some sort of hand-waviness about how to make sure that they don't get corrupted or fail. More about that in game 2, but nothing about like the physicality of doing it and how detailed you have to be or anything. They're just like, you have to be detailed and you have to do it carefully and accurately. Nothing about sort of the technicalities of it. There are some references to inks and stuff, but nothing about sort of like structure or anything technical. It's all sort of theoretical and high level. Anyway, there was also a mistake on the subtitles. I have the subtitles on simply because they help me process names a little bit better and locations. I don't know. I just always have subtitles on. If you see me watch Netflix or anything like that, I've got subtitles on. It just helps. Good example here is in Stargate SG-1. I didn't know how Teal'c was spelt. Teal'c's one of the main characters. Until I turned on subtitles and it would show his name every time it was said, and then I learned very quickly how it was learned, and then I learned how all the other strange or more sort of alien names were pronounced and spelt in there. And then in one episode of Stargate SG-1, they were like, here's how you spell Teal'c. It comes up in one of the storylines. So then I was hooked on subtitles. I just leave them on. But there was a mistake there. The subtitles didn't match the words or vice versa, and that always boggles my mind. If you're doing subtitles, make sure that you give them the same script that you give your voice actors. Thank you. I know there sometimes can be differences there based on timelines, but it drives me insane. Also drives me insane when they're not synced up, so make sure that your audio systems and subtitle systems are synced up, or I'm going to go mad. So that message essentially told us that, hey, our books are being destroyed. I placed the rest of the books in the places of protection. Remember the tower rotation. So again, that's a bit of exposition that's meant to tell us what to do next. That's what's meant to tell us about tower rotation. Now again, I've seen a lot of people struggle with what that means, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you. This is more, I guess, a guided tour than anything. So we're going to go up to the library now. I haven't been in the library before. I'm curious what they did to the books. If you know what I'm saying, then you'll know what I mean. But we'll go ahead and take a look. Oh dear, yeah, they made a mess of those books. At least they made it obvious which books are readable here. We won't be reading them. It'll take too long. But here in the old library, there was just sort of three rows of pictures, exactly. And I would try and read the burnt ones, and I would get scared as a kid because the burnt ones always looked kind of scary inside. I mean, burnt books just look weird, kind of scary, so I didn't really like that. So here is the tower rotation. They've done that. That's great. So again, in the game here, there was like a white symbol for the tower, and you would just click on it, and it would start making a horrible noise. I remember the sound effect well, and it would just start rotating around, and there was no real reason or knowledge about what that was about. You'll also see here that we've got everything kind of outlined from the island, and this is because we have the marker switches on. If we turn off the marker switches, then you will not be able to see these on the island. The island will just be blank. What you're meant to do here, and please hope they haven't got the same sound. There we go. They've also got snapping there, so it snapped there. This could be more obvious. This is a yellow line on sort of yellow-green. I really can't tell the difference. The only reason I know it's yellow is because I lined it up with the blue here in my eyes. It's a color blindness thing for you there. What we've done here is we've rotated the tower so it lines up with the gears. And in some cases, I don't know if it'll be this one, and I'm not going to keep doing this, but you can actually see that the tower has moved. If I go over towards the gears, you might be able to see there's like a window on that tower. We'll see that in a moment. So again, I'm probably itching for me to look at the blue and red books. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Blue or red, who knows? I like that. They kind of just sort of that again, music was terrible. I also like the way that they've screwed the books down so that they can't be moved here, because it's very important to that these books can't be picked up and taken around. They're very important books. So there's a red page here. Red page goes in the red book, and then we can open it. Let's see what they've done here.
One thing I need to be rescued. You must.
Interesting. So that was Cirrus. I actually don't like the amount of static on there, and I've never liked the amount of static on there. I know that they're trying to convey that the message is broken up, but I don't like noises like that, just generically. That was Cirrus. Cirrus told us to bring a red page, red book, to help him get rescued. Didn't tell us really much else except begging for a red page. Interesting that they've done that to the fireplace, but okay. This is the blue book. Oh wait, that's interesting too. I didn't notice the cover too much. This is really only relevant in Myst 4, but the icons on the covers here kind of sort of allude to the nature of each brother. Also, in some cases, the nature of the world that they're actually in, because in Myst 4, they retcon what happened in Myst 1, and they say, hey, the brothers are actually in regular books rather than the books presented here. The books presented here are what are called trap books. They're trapped in those books, and they can't get out. They talk about it as sort of like a ethereal realm, like an edge between two dimensions or whatever. There's also a strange thing that happens in this game where apparently they act like telephones and you can kind of talk through the books. That doesn't happen in does it happen in Myst 3? No, I don't think it does. It happens a little bit in Myst 2. Myst 3 and 4 obviously just don't do it. Myst 2 doesn't really do it, I guess. There might be one conversation I'm not like sort of remembering. There's a couple of cutscenes if you do something wrong in Myst 2, but yeah, essentially it's a trap book. They're trapped in there. Bring them red pages and they'll be able to get out. So this is the blue page for the blue book. Damn it.
Serious? Seal? Myst Pt.1. Help me. Bring me pages. Forever and ever. Pages. Have the blue pages. To me.
That was good. That was Akinar. Akinar's bring me the blue pages. I don't really like any of the models that they've done here. It's not that they did a bad job. They did a good job. It's just that like there are obviously better being real world actors, right? They were actual videos of real world actors. I can never remember this, so don't quote me, but Cirrus and Akinar was also played by Idris, and so it gets a little bit confusing, but that's mostly because you don't really see them clearly. Or I might be wrong there, I don't know. I'm very knowledgeable at these games, but there are like random facts I just don't remember. So that was the blue book, the red book, and basically a tour around the island. I'm going to go ahead and cut here. Actually need to go ahead and take care of a few things, take a look at a few things. Join me again soon. I'm going to just publish this on YouTube. I wouldn't even post it on social media, at least for now. I wanted to do just generic content creation for once. If you enjoyed this, do let me know in the comments section, though. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.